Sunday. It is January the 9th. It is 1:20 p.m. in the afternoon. And today I'd like to talk about what I've learned through astral projection and the beyond body. So I wanted to cover three things that came to my mind and that are important things that I've learned. And along the way, of course, I'll be giving tips and things I hope that will assist you in your own process. So let's get started with number one. One of the biggest things I learned was that there are, I believe, an infinite number of worlds and realities. When I first began leaving my body as a child, to be honest, I was thrilled just to hang out around my apartment. It was the place that I saw my first spirit being ever, as he emerged from a wall in my room and walked right past me as if I didn't exist and disappeared through the wall on the other side of my room. It was also the place that I made my very first contact with a being that I later learned from speaking to my mom may have been a family member that passed away a long time ago. I eventually began exploring areas outside of my apartment, flying through the sky, above the ocean in the Bay Area, and having a blast, diving toward the water and pulling up just before I went through and accelerating into the air. At the time, I really had no idea that there were other worlds and realities. It wasn't until I first made contact with my guides as an adult that I began exploring places beyond this world and reality. Places like the restaurant/movie theater that had a screen of water suspended in midair, or the time I saw spheres orbiting a planet and those spheres turned out to be actual homes. I have two tips to add here. First, if you're new to astral projection, I believe that it's important to take one step at a time. First, achieve astral projection, and after you separate, don't be in a rush to get outside of your place. Take your time. Make notes and perhaps journal what you're experiencing in your house/apartment. What do things look like? Are you hearing disembodied voices or beings that you don't recognize? And if these things scare you, always know that you can return to your body instantaneously by simply thinking, I want to be back in my body. Later, take the time to consider what actually happened as opposed to what you were afraid would happen. This will help you begin to get past the fears that you may hold inside about astral projection. The other tip I have is making sure that at some point you contact your guides, especially if you want to continue to explore. They have shown me so many things, and I feel so blessed to have them around me. Second, simplicity is a beautiful thing. And by the way, guys, this is a big one for me. Really, really a big one. I've had many experiences, but the most profound didn't have to do with light or angelic beings or amazing spectacles, although those are definitely cool. The first simplistically profound experience that comes to mind is when I saw a being covered in a blanket that was laying perfectly still next to me. I was so afraid because when I asked, who are you? What are you doing here? It just didn't speak to me, but I suppose in a sense it was speaking in another way or communicating in another way, because through that experience, I learned that unconditional love begins with loving yourself unconditionally. The second experience was twisting slowly in a void of darkness and feeling the source that connects us all. You know, it's funny, I never would have guessed that that place would be so significant to me. I felt the most powerful love that I've ever experienced without seeing a single image. The third was experiencing my expanded higher self in a place of zero gravity that appeared to be almost like another version of my apartment. Now, this is an experience I talked about. I also talked about seeing kind of this these pictures on a board, and it was almost like the kind of pictures you would see if you were shooting a movie, like a storyboard where you saw images. And I'm not even sure if those pictures were somehow mapping out my life or other lives. I'm not sure. I didn't quite understand exactly what I was seeing, but what was so profound to me was that higher self, that expanded version of me, when that version told me in my own voice, independent of me, that he loved me. It is something I will never, ever forget. So, the takeaways from this: keep an open mind when you are out there and leaving your body. And instead of looking to learn something from some angelic being that's emanating light, and I'm not saying that you can't learn something from beings like that. You will more than likely have contact with beings that are like that, and it's a very beautiful thing. But I also want you to take the time to search for things that are simpler and less obvious. Number 3, loving yourself is the key. And this is another big one for me. Something that I have learned over time. As I have said on this channel before, you are an infinite network of beings, and it's important to love that infinite network. What's amazing to me is how I am me of course, but I am made up of beings that are independent of me. And simply taking the time on a daily basis to express the love you have for yourself out loud can be, in my opinion, so helpful to achieving astral projection, and of course helpful to living your life in the 3D world as well. It's unfortunate because I see people, and I've kind of talked about this before, but I also wanted to kind of touch this a bit as well. I see a lot of people on subreddit wanting to use astral projection. I've also looked at the reality shifting subreddit as well. They want to use these things as ways to escape the 3D world. And I honestly, I think a part of it, and this is just my opinion, a part of it is not just escaping the 3D world, but unfortunately trying to escape themselves, which, by the way, you can escape a lot of different things, but you can't escape you. It's a very, very important thing. Again, another very important lesson. And when you're out there, you realize that you as a being, there's a lot of you out there, a lot more than I think you recognize in the 3D world. So if you're trying to escape yourself, going out there is the wrong place to go, because you are literally coming face to face with yourself on many occasions. I certainly have. And through that interaction, I have learned so much, guys, so much. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday journey with me. And until next time, take care.